I will today talk about very personal experience I had. This is difficult to admit, people, but I need to speak about how King Paimon saved me from suicide. I promised to make a video about this long ago, but now I collected the courage to speak about it publicly because I think trauma is one of the reasons and one of the catalysts which lead us to the left-hand path and magic in general. We want to reclaim our lost throne, our lost power, our lost feeling of self-worth and pride. We are confused in this mostly chaotic world, and we want something to take control of our lives. Many people call our lives our realities, but I prefer to call it our life because I think we all inhabit single reality, but we perceive it differently, and our observation of that reality influences reality itself, because observation is investment of energy. We invest energy into things in a certain way when we observe them certain way. I need to talk about how King Paimon saved me from suicide. I will start talking now. 3 or 4 years ago, I was in deep existential crisis. I had no friends and I had some very intense physical and psychological problems in my life. I was in search for a meaning of myself and universe, and I tried to find the meaning in religion. I was very satisfied for a time being, but one night when I prayed to God, or Yahweh as I call him now, I invoked him every night with prayer, because real prayer is actual invocation. I invoked Yahweh every night and I had very deep relationship with him. But one night when I was praying, I felt literal black flame burning within me. Literal black fire. And I heard the voice, "Why you are kneeling? What are you doing?" Since that night, I stopped praying and practicing organized religion. I tried to find meaning in intellectual knowledge. I read a lot about literature, philosophy, psychology, biology, all kind of intellectual knowledge of our human race. I also tried to hide my problems by spending a lot of time in virtual reality, playing video games, imagining things unrelated to this world, living in my own imagination. But after a few years of living like that, I have traumatically and very intensely observed some very disgusting aspects of the world we live in. And that traumatized me very deeply. I realized there is a lot injustice and pain in this world. A lot of things which are systematically and purposefully wrong. And a lot of those who are doing wrong for the sake of selfish benefit and harming others. And I didn't have anything to explain that. I didn't have anything to explain my traumas, problems of the world, and pain I am seeing within it. So I tried to resort to the only possible solution truly desperate man has. And it is death. It is death. I wanted to die. And I tried to kill myself. I tried to do it twice. Or I don't usually count third attempts. I count just 2 attempts of suicide. First time I didn't succeed. Second time I was really serious to do it. I wanted to end everything. But in the moment when I was very clearly ready to do it, to cut my veins and end the misery, because I saw my life as miserable existence, I hear the voice. Stop. I ignored the voice. I continued to cut myself. The voice became louder. It said, stop. I stopped. Then I felt very intense, red, fiery energy in my hands and around me. I truly stopped. I was confused, and I returned to the bed. I slept. And I never tried seriously to kill myself again. Firstly, I considered my experience to be emanation of my subconscious mind, and I considered energetic changes I felt as subconscious mechanism by which my organism told me to stop killing myself. But few months or even years ago, because time and observation of time is really fragile in my case, I don't have good perception of limited time. But after some time, which is for me like eternity, I started investigating the dark arts really intensely. I was haunted by fear of death, and I wanted to know if there are entities which aren't incarnated in the body, then there is a big chance we as a human beings also can live after physical vessel decomposes. So I started calling on spirits. I was attracted to demonic, so I started calling demons. First, because of impressive lore and interesting dreams, I started calling Lucifer. But then, after some time, I became interested in King Paimon, because I am a poet. I like writing poetry, stories, philosophy. I know I am bad at everything of this, but I have a need to express myself. And somewhere I read Paimon as an entity is very artistic in nature. So I find simple way to call him, and I called him. And to my shock and complete disbelief, I called King Paimon and I felt the same type of energy I felt on the night my suicide was stopped. Which means he helped me to stop killing myself. He actually saved my life on that night. And since that day, when I called him, we work. I cannot say we work every day. We had short and sometimes longer breakups during all of this time. But he is always somehow around me. He is somehow with me. He is guiding me. He is giving me advices. He is here when I need help. And when I am most desperate, the first spirit which I am going to call is King Paimon. Because I believe him more than any other spirit. I probably believe Lilith equally as Paimon, but I think still I believe Paimon a little bit more. His power I believe the most intensely. From all if we consider all powers I am working with. What else I need to say? I need to say one more incident. I was trying to escape black magic. Not once, but twice. I was trying to leave all of this. To ignore all of the experiences I had, all of favors I was given, and all of knowledge I obtained. I tried to end black magic in my life. On that damp and foolish night, I burned my personal grimoire. I burned my magical journal. And I prayed to Yahweh all night. But when prayer was over, Lucifer came to me. He was really angry. He left. But deep in the night, in time when gates are open, one more spirit came to me. It was King Paimon, and he gave me vision. I was in a cave writing the grimoire of black magic with the animal blood. I was dressed in cloak, and I was living in the cave with circles, triangles, blades, and chalices around me. And he told me, "You now try to leave me, but you will return. You cannot live without us, without our mysteries, without our visions, without our knowledge. You will have mysteries you desire. You cannot live without them. You will write for us, and we will write for you. Then he left. He was right. Few months later, I was again trying to call spirits. I was again whispering in the darkness. I was again calling King Paimon. And then we worked. We opened, and we were trying to open my astral senses. But the procedure was difficult. And procedure is difficult still. It is still lasting. I am still opening my astral senses. I think it is never-ending process. It isn't something which opens and then you can proclaim victory. The process was very elaborate and time-consuming and difficult, and at the moments painful, and I literally started losing hope. And at the moment my hope was at the bottom, I had one more intense Yahwistic intrusion from Yahweh, who gave me the vision in which he wanted me to work for him. And he also possessed me. Yahweh possessed me in a way. He entered my body. It was not forceful possession. It was beneficial spiritual possession, like when you are invoking demons for empowerment, or angels, or pagan gods, that type of possession by Yahweh. And after that possession finished, I heard King Paimon shouting and roaring in my ear. He told me I need to choose a side, to pick a side. You can be neophyte of both powers. You can work with light of Yahweh and the darkness of infernal divine. But you cannot be truly prophet of both. And if you need to reach greatest spiritual heights, to become the prophet, you need to choose the current of your prophecy. You cannot be prophet of anything, because in this world there is no perfection. In any world there is no perfection. But in every world and in every world there is a war. There are forces which are at war with one another. This is the message I am getting over and over again. And if you want to reach the truly potential of yourself, you need to be at war with something. He who do not have enemies cannot have friends, and he who have no true friends have no true enemies. I also want to tell something to clear very important misconception, and then I will continue my story about King Paimon, what happened afterwards. There are many who claim King Paimon is very business oriented. That's true. But he is not greedy and he is not a narcissist. And when you are respecting his time, he starts to be intimate with you. And when I say intimate, I think he is not just really business oriented. He is also your friend, guide, but also an adversary. He will also create adversities which will make you stronger and force you to organize yourself, realize your strength and your weakness. He is not a narcissist. He wants to call himself King Paimon, not because he is egoistic, but because he earned his title through hard work. His spirit was in the past, in previous incarnations, which are now separate from him. In those previous incarnations, which are now separate from him, he was first the Ptah of Egyptians. Then he became Al-Qutbai of Arabs. Then he became Paistos or Hephaistos of the Greeks. And from the word Paistos come his modern incarnation, Paimon. All of those incarnations of him are separate from each other. They have different agendas, different names, different energetic component and composition. To be exact, they are all different spirits. But before human time has started, and before this world were created, all of those beings were unified in one single being. Let's phrase it that way. Let's continue story about me and King Paimon. I need to elaborate on something before I continue. I am not authority or anything like that. I said that very big amount of times. I don't try to preach anything. I don't edit my videos. I don't filter my videos, my content, my words, my deeds. This channel isn't here to sell anything or to teach anything. This channel is here to give you unaltered, intimate experience of person who is trying to ascend on the path of the clipot. I do not react on comments, positive or negative. I react only when somebody asks for help. Now, let's continue talking about King Paimon. After that incident with Yahweh, which I mentioned earlier, possession by him, I continued working with King Paimon. But there was something strange, as if he was angry, as if there is something I did wrong that night, as if we lost intimacy we had until then. And due to that, I was forced to move out of work with King Paimon. I needed something new. I needed something else. I didn't hate the king. I still wanted to learn from him. But after happenings and experiences I had with Yahweh, and after my refusal to work with Yahweh, and after the Paimon's wrath, I witnessed I needed something else. So I became interested in a Ahrimanic current. I had visions of Zolhak. I gained the black magic of Ahriman in a little bit paranormal way, and I started working with the Divs and Ahriman. But I had problems in cutting myself off from Yahweh. It was necessary to cut myself from Yahweh or Ormaz in order to work with Ahriman properly. And I had problems doing so. I had problems of cutting myself from the spirit of Ahura Mazda or Yahweh. After that, I stopped working with the Divs for a longer period of time. And I tried to work with Lucifer. Let's phrase that my work with Lucifer wasn't very, let's phrase it, it wasn't very beneficial, not because Lucifer was unwilling to do anything, but because I was attached to my weaknesses. So that created a big delay in my spiritual ascent. Let's phrase it that way. So after semi-successful work with Lucifer, I paused being magician for some time. And I claimed I was meditating and working, but actually in reality I wasn't doing anything. I just did few unfocused meditations a day, and that was it. And I sometimes invoked Lucifer and called Lucifer forth. It wasn't anything to be proud of. Let's be honest. After that period of time ended, I started working with Azazel. Let's speak about that for a second. Azazel taught me many things, and he confused me and made many things mysterious, more mysterious than they were before. He left more questions than answers, more mysteries than claims. My work with Azazel ended. I tried to work with Belial. But Belial directed me to Lucifer again. And Lucifer directed me to Lilith. And they worked with me together for some time. But I wasn't willing to throw myself completely into it. I was still holding myself back. I think it is because of fear more than anything else. I was holding myself back because of fear. I am admitting it. I didn't truly believe in love of Lilith. She sent me her love. Motherly, bestial, and predatory love. But it wasn't the love of the human. It was the love of Shadim, the love of the devil, and I wasn't ready to accept the love of demons. After that time period, my mother was diagnosed with cancer. I think it has nothing to do with my spiritual work. It was a consequence of my mother living really stressful and really painful life experience. So I made a pact with Lucifer. He saved the life of my mother, as you already know, and after that I had a really intense working with Lilith. We will skip that part because this video isn't about that working. It's about King Paimon. But for all those time I worked with other spirits and entities. I felt somebody is missing. I felt something is incomplete. I felt something is wrong. I felt I forgot somebody. I didn't include somebody who I care about. You know those feelings when you found good company but you want your old friends to be there and you want to call him but you don't know will he reply. You don't know what will happen and you don't know did you really fucked so many things up. Will he come to you again? And after a lot of thinking and contemplating, I called Paimon again. And he emerged. I never had so quick emergence of the spirit. As if he waited all of those months to be summoned and called by me. I think that night he was more happy to see me than I was happy to see him. He was happier seeing me than I was happy feeling him. And since that day I am calling him almost every day. In one way or another, and we are communing in one way or another. But He is always present in some manner. This is the end of video dedicated to the Spirit who saved my life. I hope it wasn't too long. And it wasn't too elaborate. I appreciate your time. Thank you. I appreciate your patience. Thank you once again.